Hello, welcome to our YouTube channel where we try and put videos on with our opinions, and we'd like to hear your opinions. So if you want to put your comment, your opinion, just put it in the comment and we'll have a look at it. We'll get back to you. What we're going to talk about today is ghosts, spirits, whatever you want to call them.
Now that is a shocker. We're a paranormal page.
Yeah, we're talking about
ghosts. We're talking about ghosts.
So what do people think as ghosts? Well, why do people think the houses are haunted? I mean, they can get noises, smells, putting things down and going back and they're not there.
Sensations.
Yeah, everything like
Cold
that.
breezes.
Yeah. I mean, there's noises, which you could put down to poltergeist, which is German.
For noisy spirit.
Noisy spirit. There's there's residual energies, like that is stone tape. I'll let Ben talk a bit about stone tape. People even think you're being watched and stuff like that. Does that mean that your house is haunted? Not necessarily. There's so many factors in there that could why your house.
There are a lot of things. I mean, like I say, every house creaks and bangs, and there's always drafts and things. But like I said, there's multiple different things which that could be down to.
Yeah. There's even a story about a lady that was on one podcast where she thought for years she moved into, I think it was New York, into an apartment, and after a few days there, she started feeling like she was being watched. It was only a small apartment. I think it was like the kitchen, then your little living area, and your bedroom and your bathroom. And she felt like she was being watched all the time.
That sounds like something I'm going to get into, and I think that's in New York. Now, wouldn't it be funny if it's the same person?
It might be.
There was a we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Yeah, she thought she was being watched, and then eventually she started seeing things like at the corner of your eye, and then she used to wake up in the night thinking that somebody sees something stood at the bottom of her bed. She's going to touch the landlord. He says, it's not haunted, it's rubbish. It's an old apartment with, nobody's had any complaints. It's complete rubbish. And this went on for months and months. Started making her ill, till the point where she got a paranormal team in who did investigations. And this is a sign of a good team. What they did, they tried to rule everything out.
Yeah.
And what one of them did was, I'm going to get my, I think he worked for like a gas company in New York. I'm going to get him in. And what it was actually a very small, like, gas leak under the floorboards with the pipes. It was leaking gas in, which was gradually poisoning her. So
lucky really that they found it when they did.
And also there was a very high reading of EMF in the building from faulty electrics, and because it's a radio building, it's basically been rushed up, done dead quick, so the person could rent it out. So the electrics were a bit dodgy, thrown off EMF. EMF will make you hallucinate. It will make you paranoid in some people. And this is what it was. So a apartment was not actually haunted. It was these two things that were contributing to her feelings and what she was seeing. So, like I say, not everything is a ghost. But what do we think is a ghost? We think...
I must also point out...
That's not a ghost. That's
not a ghost.
Dog.
If you can hear whining and banging, it's not one of those whining typical ghosts that drag chains around. It's just his dog.
It's our dog.
It's just his dog.
But we are a firm believer in the stone tape theory. And this is where I'll pass over to Ben, because Ben loves the stone tape theory.
I love it. I mean, I've completely
I'll let the dogs in while you explain that.
Right, there we go. Yeah, so the stone tape theory, I mean, I believe that there's different things. I will get into it. But how do we explain ghosts that you see that are headless? How do you explain ghosts that you see
That's the dog
that can play guitar? If he knocks that, everything's going to come crashing down and we'll have to start all over again. So yeah, how do we explain ghosts that you see only the knees upwards, or ghosts that you see headless? How do you explain shadows? How do you explain ghosts, for example, the white lady, the grey lady, blue, green, yellow, red, the colour list goes on. How do you explain it? What's he got on his face?
A bit of slaver. Come on, Ted. Go on.
So, it's ectoplasm. He's going to knock it.
No, he isn't.
That's very close.
Yeah, very close.
Very, very close.
Very close.
So, the stone tape theory is a theory where it involves a substance called silica, which is found in the ground. It's found in the earth. It's absolutely everywhere. It's very rich in sandstone, and the redder the sandstone, the more rich it is with this silica and iron oxide which contains it and stuff. You even get traces of it in your brain as well, which contributes to your memory. So it all sort of links in with what I'm going to say. So where does the energy go?
I think you're going to start this again.
So yeah, with this silica and stuff, it all sort of boils down for me with earth energy, which I completely obviously believe, and I do believe the earth is a living thing. I'm a dowser, so earth energy is something that I do sort of work with, and I do like to dowse for earth energy because you can find it everywhere. So human beings, we are a spirit, we do have an energy, but when we die, where does the energy go? Some people think it goes to heaven, some people think we roam the earth forever, some people think there might not be anything. But I think the energy has to go somewhere. Energy can't just vanish, and when you die, your energy just go. Where does it go?
That's it.
It has to go somewhere.
Where does it go?
It has to go somewhere. So I believe whenever there's, in Richard Felix's words, one of my heroes, at times of traumatic death, premature death, dying before you're supposed to, in horrible ways, I think that when you're sort of resisting death, the energy you're building and the adrenaline's going to be huge. And then when you die, there's going to be a massive burst of energy that's come out. Yeah. But where's it going to go? So I think
it's going to go to the nearest thing, isn't it?
I think
the floor or the...
I think the silica can sort of pick that energy up and it can soak it in. And I think on anniversaries of that death happening, or whenever the atmosphere is the same, this is what they believe, you can see that happen all over again, or you can sort of see the moments just before that happened. So basically, it's like the Earth's just doing random recordings.
Yeah. They believe that seeing that kind of thing is like in lightning storms, or
obviously now
when there's certain weather conditions, isn't there?
People are pulling our ass. Well, all right then, that's fair enough. But legless ghosts, how do you know? So basically, if we're going back hundreds of years, for example, I'll go back to the Treasurer's House story with Harry Martindale in York when he saw his Romans, which is an incredible ghost story. Richard Felix says that is the best ghost story in the world, and I agree with him. I think it is the best ghost story in the world. So basically, he was working down in the cellars. I'll cut a long story short, and he was only 18, so he's younger than what I were, and he sees Romans appear all of a sudden in this really dark cellar. He's on these ladders fixing this pipe, and next minute he sees Romans appear, and he saw 20, he counted 20 altogether, fell off his ladder because it made him jump. He counted 20 of them, but he could only see them up to the knees, so he's thinking, well, they great little soldiers, what are they doing here, And it turns out that after years and years of him struggling to get his story across, it turns out some archaeologists went in. They were tracking one of the old main Roman roads. I can't remember what it was called, but it was basically one that went through York and it headed off towards Scotland, up towards the north. It was one of the main motorways, shall we say, in the Roman times. And turns out that when they dug in that cellar, it were only 15 inches below that level, which would make it, when the soldiers were walking on the floor, it would have made them look legless because of the new ground
floor
level.
put in.
That explains that. So I think if you see legless ghosts or ghosts that look really little, it's probably because when that recording were made, the ground level has been built up. So say if you're in a new build, for example, it sounds quite comical, but you might see a little head just drift like Adam's Family with the hand. You might just see a head just go across the floor, and you'll think, "Good God, what's that?" It could just be because the level of your house or the ground level has raised so much since that recording happened. All that you can see is the head. And I think after so many years of a recording being replayed over and over, it can fade, which is why I think that you get the colour will fade. It's like a tape. The more you play it, it wears out. So I think the more it plays, the quality of it will sort of diminish. The sound might vanish a little bit, maybe. I think the sound lasts longer than the actual visual.
Yeah. That's why you probably get your footsteps and your banging and...
Your colour fades. That's why you'll go grey, white, brown, whatever. That's why I think you can see your grey ladies, your white ladies. It's just because it's a recording that's that old, it's faded.
What about... Let's say this, so what about, like people see planes, they see spirit planes. There's meant to be one around here, isn't there?
There's one just down at Village, because...
is that the same kind of thing? Can the atmosphere...
I think it might be, because, there were a few crashes around here, actually. Well, there was one that crashed near William Thorpe Ponds.
Yeah.
That killed some pilots. They were German pilots.
Yeah.
It killed them. and I think they buried at Cannock Chase, or one of them is at least.
Oh, blimey.
in that
Yeah,
cemetery.
because there is a German cemetery down there.
They
yeah.
were killed just up there. There were a plane. It were German. They're all Germans. It were a German plane that come down in village just up road. It
Yeah.
ran out of petrol. Didn't kill him. And all villagers looked after him and stuff. Even though we were an enemy, they still
looked
looked
him.
after him and gave him food and made sure we were all right and stuff. Which from what I've read in the things, he actually really appreciated. And they're absolutely fine.
Yeah.
They're only young, and he just lost fuel. And but I think that maybe the panic in that accident, or maybe even that accident, and these places where they've seen are really close apart. So maybe that ghost plane, I think it's a, I don't know what plane it is, but it's a World War II plane.
Plane, yeah. Because people see it
And
over
it's
the
seen,
dam, isn't they, as well?
But they can't. They see it, but they can't hear it.
Yeah.
So I think that could be.
That could be the same thing. Don't take through, but the image is in the air, in the sky.
Yeah,
It's so weird. I think when we've come to the conclusion, we've done loads and loads of ghost investigations out, absolutely loads of them, and I think I'm really warming to the idea that most, well into the 90%, is actually stone tape.
Well, I'm going to
theory.
get into this a little bit further, just so
Wanna
the
prove that?
video's not too long, but there's some decent sort of information in there. I was thinking, right, I believe in stone tape theory and stuff. I believe in earth energy, and I think that's where you can get your sensations and feelings from. I'm empathic. A lot of people are empathic and they don't realise it. And I think that if say for example, you've come in, you've filmed a really angry video, and you've gone out again, I could come home from work, coming in and think,
you can feel the atmosphere.
I can feel a bit, not angry, but I'll feel like, God, what's gone off in here while I've been at work? I think the energy from people, especially if it's negative, can stay behind in walls and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that could contribute to people thinking, oh, I'm feeling angry. There must be an angry spirit. You could just be picking up on someone else's energy without realising that you're doing it. I think that could be an explanation. But I'm also thinking, well, how do mediums sense ghosts and things? Because we know that from experience and stuff that we've had mediums pick up on stuff and it's been true. How do they know this, and how can they pick up on spirits and stuff? But I do believe spirits can. I don't think it's as common as people think, but I do think spirits can get left on Earth in this sort of realm, if you want to
they
call
reckon
it that.
that some spirits can be left there because they've got unfinished business.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
Maybe they just couldn't manage to get where they'd want, wherever you go. I don't know where you go. Maybe they just couldn't manage to do it, or maybe they stayed because they like it. Maybe they just really liked it here and they just didn't want to go, so that's why they're staying. When I was learning to dowse, the bloke who I used to, I watch videos and learn. I mean, he's not alive unfortunately anymore, but I've got his book. Hamish Miller, fantastic bloke. He had an interesting near-death experience. He was basically helping out this woman whose young daughter kept sensing and hearing weird noises in the room and think, oh God, we've got a ghost. Oh God, it's horrible. It's after us. So she reached out to him, and he travelled quite a distance to go and help her. And he dowsed this spirit, and he basically found exactly where it was stood just by dowsing.
Yeah.
And they were explaining that it's not evil, it's nothing nasty. It's basically, it wants to go to where it wants to be, but it can't, and it's stuck. And the reason it's banging, the reason it's chucking things, is that's the only way it can get your attention.
Yeah.
How else can it get your attention? So I think maybe if you've got things that are moving or things that fall over or go across the room, it's not a demon. It's more likely just a ghost. It's a spirit it wants your attention.
Even if you've got something like that, like Poltergeist, films are made like the Poltergeist films.
That makes
it's all evil. It's not. It's probably trying to get your attention.
It wants your attention because it's got no other way.
Yeah.
And it either wants your help or it wants you to acknowledge it. I think if you think you've got a spirit, just acknowledge it. Even if you don't know its name, just speak to it, and you'll find that maybe stuff might
something there.
The activity might go because it might want your attention. It wants your attention for something. That's why it's making noises. So if you acknowledge that it's there, don't get a priest in and bloody get him to do an exorcism and that, because that's just wrong. I think that's nasty, actually.
Yeah.
That's not.
That's just our belief.
And I'm not just saying that there's spirits that aren't nasty, because I think they can be. But I think the majority of it,
they just want demonic.
No, they're not demonic.
Entities. They probably just there was nasty.
Just a bit mischievous.
Yeah, they were nasty in
they probably
real
know,
life, and it's gone over to.
They probably know that they're making you jump.
Yeah.
So they probably like that. They were probably like that in real life. So they're going to think, well, let's keep playing jokes, But I think the majority of it could just be spirits that want your help. They want your attention, and the last thing they want is water being squirted at them and Bibles shoved in their face and to get out, go back to hell. That's not the way to go, I don't think.
Definitely not. 100% not.
But yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
As I was saying earlier on about that woman in New York,
Yeah.
there used to be a fantastic programme on telly years ago. We used to watch it, Celebrity Ghost Stories.
Yeah.
Marilyn Manson's been on there. Everybody's been on. You name the celebrity, they've been on there. Even in At Home Alone, one at Burglars, he's been on there.
He's been on there, yeah.
And there a woman, she died a few years ago now, but it rehearsed, I can't remember her name, I think she's an actor, and she'd moved into this apartment in New York, and he says it were proper posh, he says it were really nice. I mean, obviously, she could afford it because she'd done well for herself, and it were really lovely, but it were really run down because they were saying that no one, whoever went in there, wouldn't stay in there long because they said there'd be problems and with electric problems or plumbing problems, so it never really got the love it needed and never got a chance. But she says, no, I'll do it up. So she'd spent months doing it up, making it look nicer, and she says, and the more she did it, the more she'd feel weird things, and she thought, something seems a bit off in here. And eventually she kept seeing a woman at the corner of her eye stood there, and it frightened her, and obviously she ended up running out of the apartment at one point, and she ran a word with one of the, I don't know what you call them, people who sort of in control of the people, of the
landlords.
Oh, you pay the rent.
Yeah, look, landlords. Or the super. Sometimes they call the super over in
He
America.
says, right, let me have a word with you. He says, what room are you in? And she was like, oh, it's number blah, blah, blah. He's like, right, I know exactly who that is. He says, it sounds like Mrs. Spencer's come back. She's like, who the bloody hell's Mrs. Spencer? She's like, well, she used to live in that apartment. And says she was a lovely old woman. And I think she was a widow. She lived by herself. She didn't have many friends. And she just loved that house. And she made it look as nice as she could. And people who's gone in there have seen her. That's why nobody. She says, well, why were you saying that it's electrical problems? It's because nobody would live in there. If we said it were haunted, nobody'd move in. And so she's like, but one thing that I probably would do, she got a medium in actually.
Yeah.
It's all coming back to her. I've not watched it now. She got this medium in who this landlord had got in touch with, and says she's really good. See if she can pick up on anything. She's like, yeah, there's definitely a woman in here. Blah 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 blah. They did like a seance. They made it look really like thingy, but they got in touch with this woman, and she says she's happy that you're here. She's happy that you're showing it love, but she's not happy that you've took all her old paintings down.
Yeah.
And she's not happy that you're changing lampshades and things because they were hers and she liked them. She says if you put them back,
she'll settle down.
It'll settle down because she was beginning to get a bit not annoyed. She says she's angry, but she's not angry. She says she knows
frustrated.
She knows that she doesn't live there no more, and she knows. And she likes you because you're a nice person, you're respectful to the house, to the room, and she likes that, but she wishes you could just keep some of her stuff in there. And the landlord had actually got an old picture of this woman. And this woman who'd moved in, this celebrity, actually put her picture back there in the flat, put all her old paintings up, and nothing ever happened again.
Well, that's like
Nothing ever happened again.
The pub that we went in, the Dark Knight at Chesterfield.
Yeah.
The landlord unfortunately passed away there.
Yeah.
And they had a picture on the side of him, and they moved the picture, the new owners, and had everything kicked off. There were glasses being broke, noises, doors opening, doors shutting, and as soon as they put the picture back, it all stopped.
Yeah.
So there is. We're not saying there's nothing there at all.
She called
are we?
the celebrity. She's actually quite upset that she couldn't see this woman anymore because she grew to actually be comfortable and like her. And she called the medium back. Says, where's she gone? She says, right, I'll come and have a look round.
Yeah.
She says, no, she's moved on. She's not in here no more. I says, what you've done, you've made her happy. She can trust you with her house, so she's happy now, so she can move on. She's gone. Never seen her again.
Yeah. So there is.
There's something. A lot of it, I do believe, is stone tape theory, but you can definitely get spirits which can get stuck behind.
Of course you can. We've had glasses and break. We've had glasses move on us.
I think they're quite hard to come by, but I think I think you'd know if you'd got one.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
1,000%.
I mean, we've been to places and, like I say, we've seen stuff that you can't explain, and it rarely happens.
Yeah.
Rarely happens.
I mean, a lot of people probably disagree with that, and that's fine. It's just our opinion.
It's opinion.
It's just our opinion.
Like I say, everybody's got different opinions on everything, haven't they?
Yeah.
But I think what I'm trying to say, not everything is a ghost. Not everything is paranormal.
You've got to, like I was saying earlier, everybody's house creaks and moves and things. If you hear a noise, you've got to, in my mind, think of the logical explanation first. Find out what it could have been. And if you can't find what it could have been, and you've checked absolutely everything you possibly can, then what else could it be?
Yeah, that's it. So, guys,
there you go.
enjoyed. If you've got an opinion on that, drop it in comments and we'll get back to you. Like I say, it's just our opinion, and we do. Like I say, I've done this for over 20 years now. Ben's done it for
Properly for about 4.
proper.
Well, it's our 4th year now,
Yeah,
so,
so
about 4 years
proper
properly.
for. So it's just what we've, this information that we've
Still
gathered
very
into
into it.
things we've seen, and what we understand now about the paranormal.
Yeah.
But like I say, it's just an opinion. So if you have not subscribed to this channel, you're watching these videos, please subscribe. It's free and it will help us out. And like I say, drop us a comment, and we'll get back to you. So yeah, that's
There we
all.
go. That's
Thanks
all.
for watching us, and we'll see you
In
in
a
the
bit.
next video. Bye bye.